You probably think human evolution is a simple story. One species gets smarter. That species is us. Everything else falls away. But that's not what happened. For most of human history, and I mean most, you were never alone on this planet. There were other humans, not animals that looked human, actual humans, thinking, creating, loving, dying alongside you. We like to imagine ourselves at the top of a pyramid, but evolution doesn't build pyramids, it builds forests. In Europe, for over 200,000 years, you and Neanderthals shared the same lands. Not for a few generations, not for a century, for thousands of lifetimes. You hunted in the same valleys. You watched the same sunsets. You probably knew about each other. Here's what's strange. We call them primitive. We say we won. We survived. They didn't, but that's backwards. Neanderthals had bigger brains than you do now. Bigger. Their neural architecture suggests they had language. They had music. We found bone flutes in their caves. They buried their dead with care. Some archaeologists think they buried them with flowers. They didn't lose because they were inferior. They lost because they needed more calories to survive. Because they lived in smaller groups. Because, and this is the hard part, when two species of human compete, the difference isn't always intelligence. Sometimes it's just luck, and numbers, and circumstance. But here's what keeps archaeologists awake at night. We'll never know if we killed them, or if we just outbred them, or if we simply carried some disease their immune system couldn't fight. We'll never know if the last Neanderthal watched the first modern human cities rise and thought, what is happening to the world? And Neanderthals weren't alone in being not alone. In Indonesia, on an island called Flores, there lived a species we call Homo floresiensis. 4 feet tall, hunted elephants, made stone tools, had a brain the size of a grapefruit, but survived for over 1 million years. They lived at the same time as modern humans. We walked past them. We knew they existed, and then they vanished. In a cave in South Africa, we found evidence of yet another species, creating art, making ochre paintings, existing in the margins of what we decided was human history. Here's the thing that changes everything. You were taught that humanity emerged, that consciousness arrived like a light switch turning on, that you were the point, the inevitable conclusion, the only one who mattered. But consciousness wasn't a destination. It was a branching, and for a long, long time, there were many branches. We were never alone. We were never chosen. We were never inevitable. What's stranger still is this. Somewhere deep in your DNA, you carry evidence of those other humans. If you're European, about 2 to 4% of your genes come from Neanderthals. If you're from Southeast Asia, you carry Denisovan DNA from a species we only learned about 30 years ago. We didn't just compete with them. We became them. We mixed. We merged. We inherited their bodies in our own. Think about that. Part of you is Neanderthal. Part of you is Denisovan. Part of you is whatever we haven't even discovered yet. This changes how you should think about evolution. It's not progress. It's not a line where you start primitive and end civilized. It's a conversation between species. It's compromise. It's the slow, strange dance of different ways of being human, trying to survive in the same world. Maybe we feel alone today because we're supposed to. Maybe consciousness in its final form is isolating. Maybe being the only human left is part of what it means to be truly human. Or maybe we're still having this conversation. Maybe we're still not alone. Maybe we just don't recognize our fellow travelers anymore. We tell stories about progress, about ascending, about becoming better. But evolution isn't about becoming better. It's about becoming different. And sometimes different means you disappear. Sometimes it means the world changes faster than you can adapt. The Neanderthals didn't fail, they transformed. They became part of us, and we'll never know if they saw it coming.